Hello, welcome. We're making a motorbike. Would you like to make a motorbike? What's that, Mr. Snuggles? Oh yes, I'm quite mad. Welcome back for real this time, and this week I want to sort out the number plate and rear lighting, because that needs to be done. It's always nice to leave a picture like this where it's all clean at the rear. Obviously it's got to be legal and I've got to use it on the road. It's not just for show. In the UK, this is a standard number plate size, which is, well, this one's 9.5 by 6.5 inches, which is slightly over. The UK is a bit of a weird country. It's almost entirely metric for everything, but there's a few things that are always imperial, and number plate sizes are still measured in inches, and we still have miles per hour. But everything else pretty much is metric, but people might measure themselves in stones, and that's really old. Lots of people around the world, I know, they look at these and they go, why do you have such a massive number plate? And it's because, as well as just legacy from that's what they've always been, is that the UK is almost entirely policed by cameras. Driving behaviour and whether your vehicle's legal or not is almost entirely policed by cameras. So the government really want you to have a number plate that can be read, because we don't really have a lot of traffic police. You don't see a lot of traffic patrol cars around. And the ones that do have cameras in, and they know who they want to pull over, because when they pass a car that's not legal, the car, their police car, will read it and tell them to pull it over. So to be pulled over as a legal citizen is really rare, because there's so many illegal people around who aren't paying their licenses and insurances, that they've got their day tied up doing that job. So you don't really hear of getting pulled over in the UK. I haven't been pulled over for 30 years, I think. So they really want to have big number plates. And they're always this. They're always a standardized font, so the computers, the cameras can read them. And they're always a standardized size. But motorcyclists don't really like these. So what we often do is we fit smaller ones. Some people fit really small, but obviously you're increasing your chances of getting pulled over. But even so, that's really rare. And the fine can be up to £1,000, but in practice, it's usually £30 if they find you with a legally sized number plate. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to a very popular size, which is from the 9x6 down to, was it 9x6.5? Yeah. Is down to the 8x6 size, which is that big. So that's a legal size number plate. And that's the one I'm going to go to. And some people go down to, really small, or they might have one that's in a line, which again, it's illegal, but the chances of being caught are so slim, and the fine is not very much. So often what they do is, police will have they'll have a motorbike day, and they'll go out to one of the popular bike hangouts, and they'll just go around all the bikes and fine them all in once, do it once a year as a token to get them off the road. The chances of being pulled over just for having a small number plate for the rest of the year are almost impossibly slim. So most motorbikes you see in the UK, they will have had a smaller number plate put on. I don't want to attract too much attention, so I'll probably go with this 8x6 size instead of the 9x6.5. But we'll see, we'll have a look. We can always, you can get them in any size you want, really. That number's also, if you're not from the UK, the numbers are also helpful because that top one, basically CA, means it was from the South Wales area originally. 22 means it was registered from September 2021 to March 2022. So you can tell the age of a vehicle just by looking at it. And you can tell where it originally came from. And these 3 letters are just random. So thousands and thousands of vehicles would have come out CA22. But these were random. And we don't really have private plates in the UK. But what you can do is you can buy someone else's plate. Say if those were your initials, you could buy that plate and it would be your personal plate. But obviously it doesn't mean anything to to anyone who's not you. And you can buy some old ones which are shorter and they have less characters, but we don't really have. I know I see some cool plates in America where you got names and all sorts of words, but this bike got this number when it was first registered, and that's what it'll have for the rest of its existence. Even if you put a private plate on, this number is sort of there in the background, and this identity will always go with this bike. There's no, when it changes owner, when it changes, it doesn't matter. This identity is this bike. And also, any private citizen can find out all about whether it's legal or not from this number. You can go online with this number and it'll tell you, well, at the moment it'll tell you it's not insured, it'll tell you it's not licensed. And if it were old enough, it would tell you it didn't have its annual government inspection as well. So any citizen can go online, look at any car and find out if they're legal or not. That's not usually a problem, although some people will do it if they see an abandoned car. They can check online and see if it's legal or not. So that's why it's very important we have to have the number plate on this bike. So we'll ignore this one for today and we'll play with this 8" by 6" version. I better order one of these online, a proper one. So I don't think a cardboard job will do either. Although people do that. You often see people driving around, they've lost their number. That doesn't last long. Also in the UK, this isn't a license plate. The license is done online, or it used to be done with a little paper disc that you had to display on your bike or your car, but it's all online now. So this is a number plate or a registration plate. You call this, not a license plate, registration. So that's why we have to have this. Where's it going to go? Let's have a look at that. Following on from that then, where's this going to go? Obviously with bobbers, what you get a lot is people side mount the number plate, and that hanger there would be quite handy for that. But to be honest, there's no way I can live with that, because well, it'd be on the other side, but either way, having that sticking out is just going to be so unbelievably annoying that there's no way I can live with a side mount number plate. I know some people with some countries with smaller number plates, they put them sideways on and they're narrower. I'd snap it off in no time, I just know. So I know it's tempting to leave the back clear and go with the side mount, but on a practical week-to-week basis, there's just no way. There's not an option. Now, Harley Sportsters in the UK, they used to just have them on a mount on the back, sticking straight upwards with a tail light. That's not an option. It's not going there. Some riders have been known to stick it on their backpack. That's not going to work. So really, the only practical solution is to have it down here, which will kind of help because it will mean effectively you've got a longer mudguard to keep the weather off. So as kind of tempting as that is, I just know that on a practical level it's just going to be really bad. And the 8x6 size, that's working quite well there. So some sort of mount, some sort of light indicators, I had a thought though. Let's look at this. This is the original Meteor tail. It's something that often gets pulled off a lot, and people fit a tail tidy. So that originally was down the back here. Can you see that? The number plate was down there, horizontal. The indicator's stuck out of here. And the tail light was up, well, it was about up here. And of course this mudguard was around here. This is the original mudguard modified. If you haven't seen any previous episodes, have a look at those and you will know what we've done. So that used to be, that edge used to be round there. Number plate, indicators, rear lights was about there, pointing backwards. So before I go making a load of things, I wonder if there's any mileage in adapting this. It's quite a nice moulding, really. You could make sort of a bracket, but it would probably be quite flexible because of the way this has been made with this webbing. Obviously it resists bending. So if there's any... Now this originally bolts up via these 4 holes, and that would have been, I don't know if this will fit past the holes. Can you see that through my holes? No. So that would have been up like that. If you take that number plate then, that's slightly less, yeah, that's slightly less than that size. That's, that little tail's just sticking out a little bit. The number plate light would have gone on there originally, which I've still got, obviously. Right, I'm going to stick a couple of bolts in, because you can see that from a distance, but I can't see it while I'm holding, barely. That's quite clean. That's quite a clean look. I like reusing these old parts as well. The only problem is the indicators. Fit into these original mounts. And of course, because of the keying of those mouldings, they want to point straight back in line with the number plate. So if we bend it around, then the indicators are going to point up to the sky. But we can have a look at that. And if it doesn't work out, we just do something else, like everything else. So straight up. So they would need to come. So I think we'll have to play with this. We don't have to commit to anything. If it doesn't work out, we'll just get rid of it. But it would be good to try a solution where we're not cutting into anything else at the moment. And so we can try it, but if not, do something else. So first thing, this bolts in. Let's put some finger hole bolts in this, just to put this in place. Well, there we are. Obviously it's a bit strange to see something sticking off the back there. But as I said, it has to exist one way or another. Okay, I've stuck that fake number plate on now with some sticky tape so we can at least imagine what it'd be like. I've got a light here. Oh, hello. That I got off Amazon. which is kind of in the style of the grille that's on the front. So that's a stop and tail light. I believe it's LED, and it's also got a number plate window on, because the original bike, if you excuse me for a second, has a little LED number plate on, and that used to fit just down in there, and that was your number plate light, because that's a legal requirement in most countries anyway. But you'll fail your government inspection if you haven't got that. You also need a reflector, so that's something to think of. Sometimes when you do a tail tidy, you just have to get a little stick-on reflector to be legal. Now, we may or may not use that. I can also see there's a clear window in the bottom of this. So maybe that can do both jobs. Actually, let's make this light up, see if it works. Righty-ho. So I've got my drill battery. So this will either go well or not. I've got no instructions, but I've got black, red and blue. Let's go with black for negative. I'm hoping one of these. Ah, great. So one of these will be tail and the other one will be stop. Oh yeah. So stop, tail. And if you do both, does it blow up? Well, it shouldn't do, because you can use your brakes while the tail light's on. That looks about as bright as stop does anyway, so. Tail, stop. That's quite cool, I like that. And you can see there in that little window, there's the number plate coming up. That's quite nice. It was £40, which is about double what a lot of them are going for. But you do get what you pay for. And this is metal, and I think this is all metal. I think a lot of the ones that were about £12 or £15 were just plastic. Nothing wrong with that per se, but yes, it would be nice. So on here, obviously if I have to illuminate the number plate, it has to be above it. Because the window, I'd like to keep it as low as possible. Then we'd have to make some kind of bracket to hold this on. But we do have a couple of holes here where that number plate light used to fix, that the number plate light is redundant. Now that we've got this. Although we were also going to fit that rack, weren't we? Does that conflict with the rack? Let's have a look. I might try and shorten this, as some of you have suggested, because it is quite long. But then now this has got longer, it's kind of made that look less long. Will this fit under here? Yeah, just. Actually, we can bolt that up a little. Although I could also shorten it. So it's kind of shining on the number plate. It's obscuring it a little bit, but never mind. But That we can put up. That can go under there. Need a little bracket. Come round for a look. Can I just bolt that in there? No, I can't just bolt that in there. Come and have a look. There's the back, your view from the back. This was number plate there. Rack, metal number plate ends there. If I tighten this up a little, that would be the tail light. Let's bring you in a bit, maybe. So down as much as possible, but not too much. That's okay, I think. I can pull that up a bit when I fix it. Now let me show you what's going on the other side. So this is your side view. And that's kind of the place, is the window for the number plate light. And this is what we're left with. So we need some kind of bracket, hopefully using this mounting face that holds that up. Do I want it back there? No, I don't want it back. So obviously I've still got a lot of adjustment in things. So that's quite a simple bracket really. Bolts onto here and comes up to pick up these two mounting bolts. I don't like how silver and unpretty they are, but I've got things that can help with that. And my grinder. Right, it's cardboard template time. Just to clarify, we will make it of metal, not cardboard. I know some of you will be scared that this will be the final solution. So, mounting face number 1. And essentially that would bend upwards. And this light would be fitted. That would kind of be that angle. So I'm just going to pop that in and draw around it. Obviously the cable going out the back. I'll have to make a hole for that. And through there, because there's a hole, or we can make another hole. We'll evaluate that. So there we are. But I don't want the bracket to be as big as this. I'd like it to be 5mm less all round. There we are. So that inner circle is what I want it to be. Looks like a toilet, doesn't it? You made a scale model toilet. So there's our toilet bracket. And this is going to go on that face, hopefully. So 2 bolts to secure. And it has to bend round. And the tail light will fit on the back. Not sure about the cable yet. Obviously the obvious is out the back and then down to that. Unless there's a tidier way to do that. Yeah, just like that. There we go. So I think we should transfer that to some metal. See if it's any good. I've got a sheet of 3mm aluminium here, or aluminum if you fancy. I think it's 3mm. It's quite stiff. I used it to make a lectern once, I think. So I'm going to copy this onto here and cut it out. I'm not sure if aluminium's going to be strong enough, but I mean, it's quite, God, yeah, it's quite stiff. At the scale of this, I mean, that's going to be quite a stiff bracket, although singles do vibrate, so we'll just have to see how that goes. I just want to check, if I zoom in, you should be able to see the grain in that aluminium. And if I cut the template that way, if I try to bend it just like a piece of wood with this grain, it would also almost certainly crack. Even when I folded it, it would almost certainly crack right there. Because it's just like a piece of wood when it was rolled. You can see the grain lines of the aluminium, so we'll have to make sure it goes this way so that when it bends, that grain comes upwards and will flow around the curve and it won't crack. Not bad. It's about as good as I hoped from a first cut with a jigsaw. Had the wrong blade really, but I'll know next time. If there ever is. Now you'll be amazed to know I finally bought my vise. I'm going to try and use an old file because aluminium fills up files and ruins them. And then you'll go try and do some steel and it'll just, it'll be all clogged up with ali. And your files are ruined. Bit more off it. There we go. Just need to bend it now. But where to bend it? Now the mounting face ends there. I'm guessing the centre of the bend is going to be about there. Right, but first we're going to have a play with another tool. I know what you're thinking. I've seen this guy work and he's going to put it in the vise and try and hammer it. But no, look, I have an actual proper bending tool. I haven't used this for about 10 years. And I used it to make some lecterns, but it is a fabulous heavy duty thing. Go. Ooh. So let's set this up and we'll give it a try. This wasn't expensive when I bought it. I think it was about 35, 40 pounds. That was about 10 years ago. I mean, it is only a bit of metal at the end of the day. Now, this part here just goes, yeah, in the vise. I don't know the maximum thickness of this, but it says 22 gauge. I'm not sure what 22 gauge is. I might Google that for you, or I might not. These handles are in here. I seem to remember bending that 3mm aluminium with this, and it was quite stiff, but it was the entire width. There's that file. You can see how it's been clogged with aluminium now. So if that was one of my normal files, that would be, they ruin them. So basically, we'll try with a bit of scrap first. I saw a bit of scrap. So basically, you undo these two clamps and you put in one's metal, clamp it up, now so this isn't a wasted try, I'm going to put a pencil line, because the relationship between where you bend it and this mark isn't always what you'd think. There'll be distortions in the metal related to the thickness. So we'll put a mark as if that was a mark we'd made, and we'll see how that relates to the bend. And then, I mean, it only does one thing. I'm not sure how I can mess this up, but you just sort of pull this up. There we go, that's pretty much 90 degrees. Some metals you have to go further, and of course it springs back. So here we go, clean 90-degree bend. That wasn't too hard at all. There we go. That was easy, wasn't it? I might have gone past 90. No, that's pretty good. And after all that waffle I said about distortion, that's pretty sharp. Look at that pencil line. Straight down the middle. Yeah, I'm full of it, aren't I? Yeah, I double checked and it was a good mark. So let's put this in and try and straighten it as much as possible. Clamp it down. Obviously this is going to be an acute angle or obtuse, depending where. So it's actually got to go much further back on itself. Now we have got room in the folder to go further, but if it doesn't, then at least if we start the fold, we can ease it round with the vise and a bit of wood. Is there anything else I have to think of? Don't think so. Let's do it. God, please work. It's fighting me a bit because it's not really probably designed to go this far. Okay. Let's have a quick look. You can always do more. It's slightly harder to do less. God, please don't be too much. Let's go and have a look. Right, you're seeing this just as I'm seeing it. Hey, not bad. In fact, we're just a little less, aren't we? It's still. Although, to be fair, yeah, we haven't set that yet. Although we might have set it by virtue of that's where we bent it. What do you think? I'm really happy with that. I thought we might need one or two bits of those aluminium. Good, eh? And that's a lovely, lovely strong bracket. Obviously got to be painted and smooth, etc. Probably I should have sanded that before I bent it, shouldn't I? Too late now. Never mind. We'll make it work. Right, let's pop some holes in that and fit the light. Okay. Now, so we've got this cable coming out the back. And the obvious thing to do would be to have a hole there, and then a hole there, because there's a hole in the bracket, so the cable will come out and round. That's okay, it's okay, but I'm wondering if there's just another, if there's possibly a cleaner way to do that, so that you don't see the cable. So you can see there's a lot of space inside this lighting housing. So if I re-drill it, put this grommet here, and seal this hole back up, the cable would come out just in front and we can make a hole and the number plate would be there and it'd be like it didn't even have a cable. And yes, I think that's a worthy thing to do, so we will do that. to remove a little more material than I thought, but we've come this far, and hopefully this will be it. Oh, it's jammed up. Oh, there we go. And the number plate window. Hey. So when this finally gets fitted, I just got to pop some sealant around there to keep that on. Perhaps a little around this interface as well. Just got those LEDs. Yeah, we can pop some sealant around there. And the guard. Oh, must be lunchtime. Let's check this still works as well. We haven't blown it. What was it? Black for negative, wasn't it? There we go. Red for stop. Blue for tail. Oh yeah. Number plate illumination. Great. So when this goes on this bracket now, the wire can tuck down. We'll make a hole in that holder. So when you look at the back, you won't see any wires coming out. I hope all that effort was worth it. And we'll do something about these exposed bolts. And this will be black, obviously, as well. There you go. Let's have a look on the bike. There we go. And that window is just under there for the number plate. It's obscuring the number plate a little, but not much. Worthy trade-off. So I need a couple of holes in here and a couple of bolts just to put this on. Right, I'll be back. Right, so cable hole. So for this side, under there. So I've just got some random bolts just for now to hold it in. I'll replace them with some nice black ones when it's painted. But they'll do for now just to hold it in place. cable. Oh. I know it's hard to picture now, but when this is all that black, it's nice and black. It's got the new number plate and this is all blacked up. And the mudguard is painted. The reason this flexes is we haven't set the angle of this yet, but that's just a minor thing of choosing where to put the bolts in the back. So there we go, we got a light. Might even put my bit of foam underneath, just to prop that up a bit for now. Yeah. There we go. So that was this morning. Got to get some nut tidies for these as well. Can't just have that sticking out the back. My fabulous holes. This thing of having the number plate at the angle is quite a, I won't say traditional, but it's a very sort of a oldie school thing to do for just this very reason, really. Short mudguard, number plate at an angle. Lots of older bikes used to have them like that. It also means it's quite a long mudguard now. How it works in the final scheme, I'm not sure yet, but obviously we've spent zero money to get to there, apart from the rear light. It looks quite factory, because it is. I mean, it's still original Meteor, that's exactly what it was. If it doesn't work out, we'll just do something else. But then I keep saying that. So that's where we're at right now. Now, indicators. As I was saying before, these are the standard indicators. And they've got the bolt finish, stud, and this plastic moulding at the front. And nicely, this electrical connector has also got the same curve. It fits just in there. Now obviously, you can see the problem with that. Because that was meant to point backwards, but now it points up in the air. And you can't turn it because it's keyed with those two holes. So really, I want this to be. Let's undo this nice corroded nut. So that angle should be sitting like that. I'll zoom it in a bit. This curve of this profile here, obviously it's meant to work with the indicator like that, but I think there is enough play in it that it would look okay. So I'm going to widen these holes out. This one downwards and this one upwards, and it will either ruin it or help us. So I've got a drill bit here that was specifically made for mangling things, because it's got teeth on the side. So it's meant for using sideways. I'm sure we've all managed to bodge holes by moving a drill sideways, but this is actually designed for that. So if I want it to rotate, this hole has to get wider downwards, and this has to get wider upwards. But I'm sure you've already thought that that's very close to just turning into one big disaster hole, and you'd be very right. So let's just have a gentle play with this. Now before I pull the trigger, there's something else you need to see. Okay, just behind this piece of plastic, there's a metal bridge that fits up under there and strengthens this whole thing. So either this possibly will have to rotate too, which that may or may not allow. Something else to consider. There we go. Let's pull that back. There we go. So standard was up there, and that's rotated round. That's now flat, and it doesn't look, it's not sort of overlapping anywhere. So it doesn't look like it shouldn't be there. Well, that was a lot easier than I thought. So let's do the other side and get that mounted. Right, so both sides have been elongated. We'll just tighten these up. Why is it when a thread is out of sight, it's impossible to do up? There we are. So that was the standard angle, and that's what we forced it to do. There we go. Right, let's have a look. Now that's almost it for today, but there's more. There's always a little bit more. So let's have a look at this. You might remember from previous videos, we've got these holes in the top because that's the original Meteor mudguard shortened, and that's where the rear light fitted. And I might have gone with that if the angle had been different, but it's kind of a fixed angle. So that would have been mounted down the back, obviously, because this part of the mudguard was down the back there before we shortened it. I've got to fill these holes, but there is quite a lot of distortion where this was originally welded. So I found this on eBay. It's £22 delivered from India, and it's a solid brass badge, not a genuine badge or official badge, but it's very nice solid brass. Anyway, I looked at the shape of it and I thought, I wonder if that would cover those holes. And when you look from above, it absolutely does. So I might be, I'm going to try that out in there. It's going to mean adding a little hole for these pull-throughs, but I don't think that matters at this point. I don't think much matters at this point. So I'm going to line this up, make a hole, we're going to bolt this in. So I'll make a nice sort of emblem at the back, I thought. And if not, I'll stick it somewhere else. There we go, it's touching. So you might have seen the grille on the front headlight, and that came as a kit I got on eBay for just over £20, I think. But it did come with a whole set of grills for all the indicators as well. I haven't tried these yet, but basically they've got a cup that goes around the existing indicator with a cutout for the shaft. Seems like a lot of effort to go to. And then the grill is going to screw on. These little screws look like they can't wait to corrode, so you might have to replace those. But I have to see about that. But if they can just get me through the day, then that'll be good enough. At the bottom. Yeah, they work pretty well. Cup, grill, screw. The other benefit of using all this original stuff is the indicators should just plug in now to the original wiring. I'll have to adapt that rear light though. Ooh. Let's have a look around. Well, there you go. That was this week's episode. Hope you enjoyed that. Look, things that work. Well, they will work. Again, it's quite a shock to add something and it gets bigger. And I don't know if you like it or not. But I think it's a good solution. And of course, it was no money. And it was just using things I already had. I might try an alternative. Though I said that about a lot of things. I might even order a side mount bracket. Now I said all that about side mount earlier, but I've seen folding ones which may help. You might play with that. I might mock something up. I got my bending machine, and maybe small indicators or not. But I like those ones with the grills, so I hope you like those too. But you know, it's fine if not. Obviously, it was only £20 for all those grills, which was a £22 maybe. That's great about these bikes, everything's such good value. And next week, low black alloy handlebars. So please like and subscribe and you'll get a notification hopefully, and you can come back and see what these are doing. Because I think once these goes on, that'll be a good transformation. So hopefully these will fit. But I've got a feeling these are going to throw up a few problems, but we'll work through those as always. That was a good day's work, and tea time is coming. So let's go home for that. But thanks very much for joining me again. Hope that was helpful to you. And let me know what you think. I'm sure you always do anyway. And I love to hear about it. So thanks very much. And I'll see you next time. What's that, Mr. Snuggles? Yeah, well, you too.